Hey everyone, Justin here. I'm going to do a quick kind of video on, now that we're in the new place, I wanted to show you kind of how we do our setup now. I am going to talk about everything that's on the shelf, and hopefully you will see something on this shelf that you'd like us to talk more about. And I'm going to explain everything that's on there. Because I've gotten some questions on both YouTube and on Reddit and on Facebook and on Instagram, and I want to answer those questions for you guys. But first, I'm going to give you guys a quick little look at the other side. So, I don't have everything set up right now because I live here and I can't have everything set up. The UFO, as Matt calls it, is not normally on when we shoot. This used to be a fluorescent light, but I spent too much money on making this LEDs up here. So at least it doesn't screw with the camera with the shutter speed, but it still is pretty bad because you get a really bad glare. But what you see here is one of our four softbox lights. We usually have these set up kind of in this area so that the table's normally about here, and we look straight forward at the camera, which is normally about here, at least our main camera, and I'll get to that in a second. But it's pain to have them out all the time, because, you know, I live in this space, so this is just one of the four. I keep it in a closet back there. Yeah, that's like a little alleyway that goes to the other part of the house that's on this property, and that's my actual room, but I'm not showing you that. So we normally have four soft boxes to kind of light us so that you don't see the glare on the photos, the frames. But here's my camera, and by here's my camera, I mean here's my computer. See, this is what happens when I'm at work at 5 a.m. every morning, and it's 4 p.m. right now, so I'm exhausted. This is my computer. That's what I use to do all the editing and everything else. I use DaVinci Resolve. But this is our one of our lights. We were shooting on this guy. If you remember our earlier videos, we were shooting. Actually, it took until late October of 2020 to not be shooting on this. So we went over a year with this guy. He is now our B camera, so we still use it. I bought this with some of the money that my grandma left me in her will. She wanted me to do something that would better myself, and YouTube was part of that. So it's nothing fancy, but it's great for B-roll footage and a second angle. That's our second angle camera. This is our main camera right now. It's the AX11. XA11. I know somebody's gonna get really mad that I got that messed up, but this is a really good camera to have for just what we're doing. No, it's not like one of those cinematography cameras, but it's still good. Costs a lot of money, has a hot shoe, a lot of different inputs and outputs. So we just got a external display monitor for this guy so that we can actually see ourselves a little bit better than just this when we're sitting at the table, which sits in my lovely kitchen right now. That's the table that we normally use. But we're gonna go and look at my gaming bookcase. As you can see, there is a reflection. That's why we don't have this light on. That's why we have the softbox lighting on during the filming. But as you can tell by my breathing, probably, I'm having a hard time with my allergies today, and I just didn't want to do it all, and I'm exhausted. So, if you hear heavy breathing, I'm sorry. Again, my allergies are terrible. So we're gonna start on the top left. This, I believe these campus plans came off of yogsathoth.com. This Catonic University, if you don't know, is the kind of modeled off of Brown, from what I understand. H.P. Lovecraft came up with it. It is part of Arkham. I had this framed, custom framed for me at the local Michaels. So shout out to Emma. Thank you, Emma, for that. To the guy on Reddit, no, this is not a comic book. This is the second edition full boxed set of Call of Cthulhu that I would love to have Sandy Peterson sign for me. Maybe one day I'll open this and show you what's in here. There's so much cool stuff in here. Like, it's awesome, the amount of cool stuff that's in there. So maybe one day I'll open that up and show you guys if you want to see it. This is Cthulhu. So, Beard Clipper's girlfriend made this for me. Beard commissioned her to make it for me, I guess is the right way to say that. Really, really cool. I love it. It's why it's up here. Gonna move over to the right. My friend whose online persona's name is Nicodonia. I'll have a link to her in the description, but she also goes by Emma Krim. Emma's her real name. I'll have her Etsy shop in the description. She did this, and I really like anatomical hearts. I think they're very important for the body, obviously. So, I had this custom framed and put a pink mat in the background just to make it match. It was really cool. Now, next to that is the person that is not a good artist, me. Do it for the memes. It's just one of the things that I live by in life. I asked myself, hey, will this be boring? I said, nah, let's just do it for the memes. So, I painted a sunset and then I wrote, do it for the memes. Because I thought it would be funny. You'll see a couple of these ducks. These ducks were given to me at ConCon and Kineticon as a DM gift. Every couple or so games that you ran, you got a cool rubber duck. I don't know why, but that's what we got. Here's a haunted house that I painted. This is a D&D wax melter. I got it from a woman who lives really close by to me, actually. I'll try to link her in the description too. She makes these wax melters and she ships them all over the place. Here's more ducks. Back here is dice bag. It's interesting how every time I buy a dice bag, I get a free bottle of Crown Royal in there. I don't know, it's weird. Here, Narragansett is pretty close to where Matt and I live. They are a brewery and they made a Lovecraft ale. Of course I have to have it on display. It tastes pretty good. Casa Deadly Spill is actually Matt's. I have to finish watching it. Here is my Call of Cthulhu stuff, or at least some of it. The Investigator's Handbook and the Keeper book, and then of course Pulp. So coming down, we got ourselves a starter set, which actually right now just has a whole bunch of Adventurers League paperwork in there. Old battle systems from TSR. That's a fun little thing to have if you want to have a big battle. We got the starter set from Dungeons & Dragons, but it's not really the starter set. It's a Stranger Things themed starter set. Here we got One Dragon magazine, and then we have Aura's catalog, the whole Realms catalog, a couple trail maps, and then in here is all Dark Sun stuff. Then we move over to 5th edition. Yes, you'll notice I don't have every single 5th edition book. Who cares? We have some AD&D stuff, 2nd edition. Some more AD&D stuff, 2nd edition, up through 1st edition AD&D. So, that's pretty cool. A lot of this stuff was donated by friends of the show, and so thank you, Dave and Tim, for that. Here's my minis table. Not a whole lot going on here, because I don't have a whole lot of minis. You'll notice that a lot of it is the Jada minis that we did a video on not too long ago. Moving down to Arkham. I think I found this on yogsathoth.com as well. Other than the bold letters that I added to it, basically I found this online, and I blew it up and I had it custom framed. So, it's adapted by a sketch by H.P. Lovecraft. I don't know the actual artist. I wish I did, but whoever took his stuff and redid it, thank you, because this looks really good on my bookshelf. This another duck. The holder is a friend, Renee, of the show. Then, of course, Julia. She got me this about a year and a half ago. She got it from Comic-Con. I think she got it from the actual guy who drew this. So, I really like this. That's why it's kind of front and center. Because Lovecraft. I'm sure you guys already know by now that I really like him. Well, I don't really like... I like his works. How's that? That's a better way of saying that. I got some cyberpunk stuff, Mechton stuff, 2 palladiums. I have to return one of these because one of these is friend of the show Ian's, but the other one is now mine. Some more palladium stuff, all the way up to Traveler. So I only have 3 of the core rulebooks for Traveler. I really want the Armory one, but if you're gonna get any books, obviously the core, and then I'd say High Guard before you went with the Traveler's Companion. It talks more about ships, and this is just kind of like, think of this as like Player's Handbook number 4, and this one being like super duper important if you want anything to do with spaceships. So High Guard is important. These are Chthonian stars. I hope to one day talk more about these. You've heard me talk about them before. Very much they basically take Traveler and make it even harder sci-fi, but also make it like Cthulhu-esque. But if you've watched The Expanse, or read The Expanse, there's some stuff in there that makes you go, The Expanse. But that's why I say it's The Expanse RPG before The Expanse. Maple Table's gonna hate me because I only have 1 Starfinder book. I have the Age of Rebellion starter set. I have a couple Pathfinder stuff. This is the first edition. Let's see here. Dungeon Call Classics, another good game that I never get to play. Here's some free RPG stuff in here. Here's Fate Accelerated. I think it's one of the best games to get people started in. The End of the World, Wrath of the Gods, a game where you literally play as yourself. It's fun. Leviathan is not an RPG. It's a board game, actually, by FASA, but it's right there. 7th edition Tau Codex. Here's a whole bunch of artwork from that guy that I showed you a couple weeks ago. Or, like, I have all these weird trading cards. So, yeah. That's even more. Paranoia. Great game. This is the old Paranoia by West End. This is not the new Mongoose version. It's a fun game. Conspiracy X, have no idea, never even opened the book. But I want to learn more. Animal Adventures. It's a game for new RPG players, and I want to play it with my parents. They've shown some interest. Looks like a 5th edition sort of conversion, but it's its own thing. If I like it, I might get the core rulebook. And finally, we'll go down to our board games. I have every single Fantasy Flight board game that's worth the dang playing, if at least one of their editions. I would say, if you were going to play anything from the Arkham Files from Fantasy Flight, if you were to get anything, get Mansions of Madness, it's definitely your best bang for your buck with all the minis that you get. I got 2nd edition Arkham Horror, Dunwich Horror Expansion, I got Eldritch Horror, Final Hour, which is supposed to, well, people describe it as the pandemic version of, it's basically, it's like Pandemic with a Cthulhu theme, so that's how people describe it. I guess that makes sense, now that I think about it. Arkham Horror, the living card game, which is like everybody's favorite. Elder Sign, which is another good game. Seven Souls, which is another Cthulhu game. And then I got Pandemic Cthulhu. So when people say that the final hour is like Pandemic Cthulhu, but then I look at Pandemic Cthulhu, I'm like, yeah, they're kind of similar. They're not exactly the same, but I can see why people would still say that to final hour. Betrayal at the House of the Hill, still one of my favorite games. Afterworld, I think got this game for $5. So I don't know not much about it, but it was on like one of those clearance racks at the game store. We got Rapid Response by Pandemic and Hot Zone by Pandemic, which is basically just regular Pandemic, but kind of simplified is the right way to say it. It's just America. It's not all the other parts of the world. Don't Step in It, Llama Poop is a game for the memes. I'll never really play. It's kind of like Twister that involves Play-Doh that looks like poop. Joking Hazard, Munchkin. We didn't play test this at all. Let's Kill, Outpost, kind of some party-ish games. I got Monolith, Rune Age, Pork Nigra, Cry Havoc, Alien Artifacts. This is Expedition Zeta, Dead of Winter, and the Long Night expansion. And then finally, the 3 Sherlock Holmes games that, if you remember, I mentioned this in the games you should play on Halloween because it's got the Jack the Ripper in it. I want to do a video on these guys, like an in-depth kind of video on these guys, because these are some of my favorite games ever. So, I just want to show you, I do have Would You Rather. My parents got that for me, and then there's my line in the sand because I have no place for it. So, anyway, this video went on way too long. I thank you guys very much for watching. Hopefully you now see what we have, and a little bit more of an explanation of what we have behind us and how we film. If there's anything on here you'd like to hear us talk more about, or if you have anything else that you'd like to hear about, please let us know in the comments. Thank you guys very much for watching, and don't forget to game on.